The following program was produced by an independent community producer. The opinions expressed do not necessarily reflect those of the ECAT staff or board of directors.
You've likely been saying it wrong for years. Just what exactly? Find out on today's edition of Liberty at Home. Hi there, friends. Welcome to our latest episode of Liberty at Home. I'm Adam Riveiro, and I'm the pastor of the Liberty Baptist Church over on Washington Street here in Easton. Today, as always, we're broadcasting from Easton Community Access Television, which is celebrating its 15th year of local programming excellence. Happy birthday, ECAT. Today, we're looking at the 16th chapter of Proverbs, and we'll be looking at 3 verses, one of which you likely know by heart. Or do you? Well, let's look at the word, and I think you'll understand more of what I mean. We'll be in Proverbs 16, beginning in verse number 18, which says, "Pride goeth before destruction, and an haughty spirit before a fall. Better it is to be of an humble spirit with the lowly, than to divide the spoil with the proud. He that handleth a matter wisely shall be good, and whoso findeth in the Lord, happy is he." Elementary, my dear Watson. Beam me up, Scotty. Houston, we have a problem. What do all 3 of these sayings have in common? Well, believe it or not, nobody ever said them, or at least the people we think said them originally didn't actually say them. I know you probably think I'm crazy, and I am to a point, but I assure you that these sayings, which have entered our popular vocabulary over the years, are variations of something that actually was said, yet not quite the real thing. Now, with many quotes, that's not a real problem. But what happens when the Bible is misquoted? It actually happens more than you may think. For instance, the Bible never says money is the root of all evil. Rather, it says that the love of money is the root of all evil. A big difference, to be sure. Something very similar has happened with Proverbs chapter 16, verse 18. No doubt you've heard this quote dozens of times. Pride goes before the fall. In fact, this quote is so popular that most people are familiar with it, whether they've read the Bible or not. Yet, that's the problem, because a simple reading of the text shows an equally simple truth. That's not what the verse says. Again, it says, "Pride goeth before destruction, and an haughty spirit before a fall." Now, I know what you might be thinking. Big deal. Who cares? What's the difference? Maybe you're even thinking that I'm just being a fault-finding Baptist preacher with too much time on his hands. And my answer to that charge is this. Well, I'm not trying to find fault, nor am I actively correcting everyone I meet who misquotes this verse. There is a case to be made that this verse should be quoted in its proper form. Why? Well, because first, we should always strive for accuracy when we handle the Word of God, making sure we neither say more or less than what it actually says. Beyond that, look, there's a world of difference between a fall and destruction. Pride doesn't just make you fall. Pride can absolutely destroy a life. It can cause a person to ignore wise counsel and walk into disaster, to cause someone to refuse to admit their mistakes, leading to even greater consequences, to make someone value ego over relationships, leaving a person isolated and alone, to push away loved ones who are trying to help. No, pride isn't just something that will make you stumble a bit. It can cause harm far beyond anything you can imagine. Let's not take even a little bit of the sting away from the sin of pride. Let us fully realize its destructive characteristics so that we can, by God's grace, avoid it in our daily lives. Later, in Proverbs chapter 29, verse 23, Solomon emphasizes this thought when he says, "A man's pride shall bring him low, but honor shall uphold the humble in spirit." So the next time you hear someone say, "Pride goes before the fall," assure yourself that you know how to say the verse correctly. Just don't be proud about it. Well, let's go ahead and make that the last word for today's episode. And as we do, I want to invite you to visit us at Liberty Baptist Church. We meet every Sunday and Wednesday at 800 Washington Street right here in Easton. Find us on Facebook, YouTube, on any podcast app, and on mylibertybaptist.org. That's all for today. So don't forget that where the Spirit of the Lord is, there's liberty. See you next week on Liberty at Home.